Welcome back, everyone, to the Wedge 52 Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, Wedge. Today's episode will be the league-wide Week 16 recap, as well as a couple of other things. Before we jump in today, though, please make sure you press that follow button right here on Spotify, as well as check out the Instagram at Wedge52 Gridiron and share both of those with your fellow NFL fans. Help the Wedge 52 Gridiron grow. Thank you all for listening in advance. Let's jump in today, where we will be covering the Week 16 recap. Then we'll move into the power rankings, updated power rankings. Lots of movement within the top 10, so stay tuned for that. And then announcing the Week 16 hymn performance of the week, as well as my updated MVP power rankings, or MVP rankings in that regard. And then heading into the future, kind of looking at what's next with a Week 17 preview, as well as my Week 17 picks. Let's jump in with last week's Thursday Night Football matchup. The LA Rams beat the Saints 30-22. Derek Carr, 27 out of 40, 319 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Chris Olave, 9 catches for 123 yards. And Rashid Shaheed, 5 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Not enough to stop the Rams, who are playing very good football at the moment. Matthew Stafford, 24 out of 34, 328 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Kyren Williams had himself another great day. 22 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua, 9 catches for 164 yards and a touchdown. And wide receiver Demarcus Robinson, 6 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown in the victory for the Rams. The Bengals lost to the Steelers 11-34. Browning went 28 out of 42, passing 335 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions on the day. His main target was T. Higgins, who had 5 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. Great performance by T. Higgins, overshadowed by a different wide receiver in this game. Mason Rudolph, the quarterback for the Steelers, getting the start, went 17 for 27, 290 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris rushed the ball 19 times for 78 yards and a touchdown. And then Mr. George Pickens for the Steelers, 4 catches for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. Absolutely ridiculous day for George Pickens. Only 4 catches, averaging, 49 yards per catch there, 48 point something, made a couple of incredible catches, and then carried, that Steelers offense for a victory to keep their playoff chances alive, although slim. Moving into the Bills and Chargers, 24-22 in favor of the Bills in that one. They were behind for most of the game, but figured it out and were able to pull through with the victory, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Easton Stick for the Chargers, 23 out of 33, 215 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions, as well as 7 rushes for 25 yards and a touchdown. Austin Eckler had 15 carries for 65 yards and 3 catches for 21 yards. On the other side of the ball, Josh Allen, 15 out of 21, 237 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception, as well as 5 rushes for 15 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Cook out of the backfield, 20 rushes for 70 yards. And Gabe Davis, 4 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. Moving into the Lions and Vikings matchup. The Lions won that one 30-24, clinching their first ever AFC North title. They have won their division before in 1993, but that was the AFC or NFC Central at the time, I believe. So first NFC North title for them. I may have misspoke a second ago, but first NFC North title for them with the win over the Vikings, clinching them into the playoffs for the Detroit Lions. Nick Mullins, 22 out of 36, 411 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions on the day. Justin Jefferson, 6 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown. And Mr. Osborne, 5 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. On the winning side for the Lions, Jared Goff, 30 out of 40, 257 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. While Jahmyr Gibbs continuing to have a very good rookie year. 15 rushes for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, as well as 4 catches for 20 yards. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown continuing to dominate at that wide receiver position. 12 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. Then defensively, safety Kirby Joseph had 9 tackles and 2 interceptions out of that Lions secondary in the win for the Detroit Lions. Moving into the Seahawks and Titans. Seahawks win that one 20-17. Ryan Tannehill getting the start. 18 out of 26, 152 yards for him. Derrick Henry had 19 rushes for 88 yards and a touchdown, as well as a 12-yard passing touchdown. And then tight end Okonkwo, 6 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown for Tennessee. Not enough to get past Seattle. And Geno Smith, who did make his return, went 25 for 36, 227 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Running back Kenneth Walker, 16 carries for 54 yards. Tyler Lockett, 8 catches for 81. JSN, 6 catches for 61. And DK Metcalf, 4 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. Falcons, what I would say upset the Colts. Not a surprising one, but definitely raise your eyebrows a little as the Falcons win that one 29-10. And Gardner Minshew, 20 out of 37, 201 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception in that one, while Jonathan Taylor made his return and had 18 rushes for 43 yards and a touchdown. Taylor Heinicke got the start for the Falcons, 22 out of 33, 229 yards, and a touchdown on the day. Bijan Robinson, 12 carries for 72 yards, as well as 7 catches for 50 yards. Tyler Algier, 9 rushes for 69 yards and a touchdown. And Kyle Pitts got in the end zone off of 3 catches for 49 yards. And, of course, the 6 points. The Browns dominated the Texans 36-22. Keenum and Mills both played in that game. C.J. Stroud missing his 2nd consecutive week with a concussion. Their combined stats, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Devin Singletary, 9 carries for 44 yards. And Dalton Schultz, 8 catches for 61 yards. On that other side, Joe Flacco continues his run. 27 out of 42, 368 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and another 2 interceptions. I think so far in the season, in his 4 or 5 games, he's got 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So not the ideal ratio for the Browns, but they are winning football games. David Njoku in this matchup, 6 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. And then absolutely dominating performance by wide receiver Amari Cooper. He could not be stopped. 11 catches for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns in the massive win for the Browns over the Texans. Absolutely insane performance by Amari Cooper. Moving into the Packers and Panthers. Packers held on in that one 33-30. Bryce Young went 23 out of 35, 312 yards and 2 touchdowns, while running back Hubbard rushed the ball 16 times for 43 yards and a touchdown. And then DJ Chark, 6 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Adam Thielen, 6 catches for 94 yards. Moving to the Packers side, Jordan Love, 17 out of 28, 219 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, as well as 2 rushes for 12 yards and a touchdown. Running back Aaron Jones, 21 carries for 127 yards, and wide receiver Romeo Doubs, 4 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. The Jets held on against the Commanders, getting the victory 30-28. Sam Howell went 6 out of 22, 56 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions before getting benched for the 2nd straight week, where Jacoby Brissett came into the game and went 10 for 13, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Running back Chris Rodriguez had 10 rushes for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trevor Siemian got the start for the Jets and went 27 out of 49, 217 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Running back Breece Hall had himself a day, both rushing and receiving. Was doing it all for that Jets offense, really. 20 carries for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns, as well as 12 catches for 96 yards on the day. And then wide receiver Garrett Wilson, 9 catches for 76 yards for him. Moving to the matchup we had between the 2 4 seeds heading into last week's games. The Buccaneers won that one 30-12 against the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence went 17 out of 29, 211 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions before leaving the game with a shoulder injury where C.J. Beathard came in to replace him, going 11 for 15, 94 yards, and a touchdown. Evan Ingram had 10 of those catches for 95 yards, and Calvin Ridley, 6 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns for him. Not enough to keep up with those Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were very locked in against that Jaguars team. Baker Mayfield, 26 out of 35, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rachaad White, 20 carries for just 39 yards, but he did get a touchdown. And then Mike Evans, 7 catches for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans, always been solid, obviously. 1,000 yards for 10 straight years. But Mike Evans earning himself some money this offseason with the kind of season that he's been having. Then his running mate, Chris Godwin, 6 catches for 78 yards. In the Bears versus Cardinals matchup, the Bears took care of business 27-16. Kyler Murray going 24 out of 38, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. James Conner, 12 rushes for 45 yards, as well as 5 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown. And then wide receiver Greg Dortch, 2 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown for Arizona. Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Justin went 15 out of 27, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, as well as 9 rushes for 97 yards and a touchdown. Running back Khalil Herbert, 20 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. And then tight end Cole Kmet, 4 catches for 107 yards. Moving into a showdown between 2 of the top teams, the Dolphins beat the Cowboys 22-20. Game came down all the way to the end. Dak Prescott, 20 out of 32, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns in the performance. His main man, CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches for 118 yards and a touchdown. Not enough to get the job done against that Miami defense, who has been playing much better as of recent. Tua Tagovailoa, 24 out of 37, 293 yards and a touchdown for him. Raheem Mostert, 11 carries for 46 yards, as well as a 4-yard touchdown reception. And then Tyreek Hill, 9 catches for 99 yards in the victory over the Dallas Cowboys. Moving into the Patriots upsetting the Denver Broncos, 26-23 in Denver. Russell Wilson went 25 out of 37, 238 with 2 touchdowns. Nothing really notable out of any of the other Denver Broncos players in that matchup. Bailey Zappi for the Patriots went 25 out of 33, 256 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Ezekiel Elliott had 12 carries for 27 yards, as well as 9 catches for 33 yards and a touchdown. And wide receiver Douglas, 5 catches for 74 yards for the upset win for New England. Moving into another upset, the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Chiefs 20-14. Patrick Mahomes, 27 out of 44, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, as well as 10 rushes for 53 yards. Rashee Rice adding to his totals with 6 catches for 57 yards, and Richie James, 3 catches for 54 yards. Not enough, obviously, to get that one done against the Raiders. Aiden O'Connell, 9 out of 21, only 62 yards. They did not complete a pass that entire second half of the ballgame. I believe most, potentially all of that second quarter as well. As running back Zamir White, 22 carries for 145 yards to help them get that win. And then where they got a lot of their points from, the Raiders defense had 2 touchdowns, 2 defensive touchdowns for the second week in a row. In this fashion, coming on back-to-back plays. Patrick Mahomes fumble, scoop and score by the Raiders defense. Next play, just 7 seconds later, a pick 6 by, I believe, Raiders cornerback Jack Jones. That Raiders defense showed up and kind of locked down Patrick Mahomes and his struggling receiving core in the big upset for the Raiders. And then the Giants and Eagles divisional matchup. The Eagles took care of business 33-25, a game that turned out to be closer than I was expecting it to be. Nonetheless, the Eagles get the win. DeVito, 9 out of 16, 55 yards, before getting benched for Tyrod Taylor, who came in and went 7 for 16, 133 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Running back Saquon Barkley, 23 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. And wide receiver Darius Slayton, 3 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. For the winning Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 24 out of 38, 301 yards, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown, as well as 8 rushes for 34 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 20 carries for 92 yards and a score. And then A.J. Brown, 6 for 80, and Devontae Smith, 4 for 79 and a touchdown for him in the victory over the New York Giants. And then moving into the Monday Night Football matchup between the Ravens and 49ers, the 2 top teams in the league, to my power rankings, probably to most people's power rankings. Heading into this week, the Baltimore Ravens dominated the 49ers 33-19. If you'd like a full in-depth review of this matchup, please check out yesterday's episode. But here is a shortened version of that one. Brock Purdy went 18 for 32, 255 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Christian McCaffrey had 14 carries for 103 yards and a touchdown. George Kittle, 7 catches for 126. Brandon Ayuk, 6 catches for 113. For the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 23 out of 35, 252 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 rushes for 45 yards. Rookie wide receiver Zay Flowers having himself a very good day, 9 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely, 3 catches for 56. And that Baltimore defense with 5 interceptions and 4 sacks in the Christmas night win for the Baltimore Ravens. That's all I have for the Week 16 recap. A couple of thoughts and stats on every single Week 16 matchup. Now into my updated power rankings heading into Week 17 of the NFL season. Just 2 regular season weeks remaining. And here is my updated power rankings. At 32, the Panthers, 31, Jets, 30, Patriots, 29, Commanders, 28, Giants, 27, Titans, 26, Cardinals, 25, Chargers, 24, Bears, 23, Packers, 22, Colts, 21, Falcons, 20, Vikings, 19, Steelers, 18, Saints, 17, Bengals, 16, Raiders, 15, Texans, 14, Jaguars, 13, Rams, 12, Broncos, 11, Buccaneers, 10, Seahawks, 9, Eagles, 8, Cowboys, 7, Browns, 6, the Chiefs, 5, the Buffalo Bills, at 4, the Detroit Lions, at 3, the Miami Dolphins, at 2, the San Francisco 49ers, and at 1, the Baltimore Ravens, taking the top spot after beating the San Francisco 49ers. This week's biggest fallers include the Commanders, Vikings, and Chiefs, who each dropped 3 spots this week. And then the biggest riser this week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by climbing 7 spots in my power rankings. Back-to-back weeks, they've jumped 7 spots. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are looking very, very solid as of the past few weeks. And then obviously getting the big dub over the Jacksonville Jaguars, last Sunday. So that is my updated power rankings. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, arguments for that, go check out the Wedge52 Gridiron Instagram and leave your comments on this podcast episode's post, and kind of interact with me there. And then moving into the Week 16 Him Performance of the Week, a couple of names, players, athletes, guys who were, in consideration for the Week 16 Him Performance of the Week include George Pickens, Amari Cooper, and Breece Hall. And this week's winner of the Him Performance of the Week goes to Cleveland Browns wide receiver Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper had 11 catches for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns in an absolutely dominating win for the Browns. His 265 yards is a Cleveland Browns franchise record for receiving yards in a single game. Congratulations to Amari Cooper on being the Wedge 52 Gridiron Week 16 Him Performance of the Week. Next up is going to be my updated MVP ladder. A little bit of change, a couple of, tight races in my MVP ladder. At number 1, I have Christian McCaffrey. This one might shock some people, but I have Christian McCaffrey at the 1 spot still for the MVP ladder. This guy does everything for his team. And then at a very, very, very close second place, Lamar Jackson in the 3rd spot, Tyreek Hill in the 4th spot, Jared Goff in the 5th spot, Josh Allen, and then in the 6th spot, Mr. Brock Purdy, who, although did throw 4 interceptions, only, I would say one of those was truly his fault, getting baited by Kyle Hamilton, who, ducked back inside after shuffle stepping out. And then potentially, a second one completely his fault. Not, the other one that I would say borderline his fault is the sack. He was getting hit as he threw it, picked off by Patrick Queen, I believe that one was. The other one, deflected ball, that kind of thing. Ravens, right place, right time. Don't get me wrong. But that is that. My updated power rank or MVP ladder rankings. And then now moving into the Week 17 preview. I'll run through every single matchup and just give my quick thoughts. A couple of things I might be looking for. All off the top of the head, no notes prepared or anything like that. Starting off with this week's Thursday night football matchup between the Jets at the Browns. The Browns, they currently hold a 5 seed at 10-5, I believe. Looking very, very good with the resurgence of Joe Flacco. And then a Jets team that is struggling. Obviously got the dub against the Commanders, but, they're struggling as well. So should be, to what I would think would be a one-sided, affair here. But this season, this NFL season, I would say, has been very, very good at keeping every single team, every single fan base on the edge of their seats and proving that any given Sunday, or in this case, any given Thursday, can happen. This is the National Football League. Every team has a chance every single week. Things are getting interesting, and I am getting excited to see, what the league, how it's going to turn out, how it's going to shake up. A lot of playoff seeding things still to be shaken out in Week 17 and 18. Moving into a Saturday matchup, Saturday Night Football. The Lions head to Dallas to face the Cowboys. 2 teams that are very high in the power rankings. 2 teams that, respectively, Lions currently hold the 3 seed. The Cowboys at 5 with that first wild card spot. Should be a good matchup. Detroit Lions are looking like they're finally getting, back on track like they were the first half of the season. Then kind of a little bit of a blunder around Thanksgiving. And the Dallas Cowboys on the other side of that, the Lions are getting hot. Dallas Cowboys are struggling on a 2-game losing streak. Losing to, good teams, obviously just lost to the Dolphins. But, struggling. And, if they want to make it far in the playoffs, they're going to have to figure out how to win these tough matchups. Should be a good one on a special edition Saturday Night Football. The media is calling it a special edition Monday Night Football on Saturday. Yada, yada. Doesn't matter. Lions versus Cowboys should be a good game. And then Dolphins at Ravens on Sunday. Should be a good matchup. 2 of my, very highly ranked, 2 of my top 3 teams. Obviously, Baltimore at number 1, and then those Miami Dolphins in the 3 spot. 2 very good units in that Miami offense and that Ravens defense going at each other. And then 2, still, I would say, 3 to 8 or 9 range probably in that Ravens offense versus Miami defense for both of them respectively. Should be a good one, action-packed. Hopefully my Ravens can pull through yet again. Winner of this game, big implications for the winner. If the Ravens win, they clinch the 1 seed in the AFC. If the Dolphins win, they will hold the 1 seed and would clinch in Week 18 with a win over Buffalo and a Baltimore loss. If the Dolphins win against the Baltimore Ravens here, and then lose to the Buffalo Bills, and the Ravens win, the Ravens will earn that 1 seed back. Titans at Texans, divisional matchup here. I would think C.J. Stroud should be back. He's already missed 2 weeks with a concussion. That Texans team could desperately use C.J. Stroud, as their playoff hopes are fading away, slowly since his injury. They definitely need a win to keep their hopes alive. Patriots at Bills. Patriots coming off a nice upset over the Denver Broncos. A little news on the Broncos that I'll preview, at their matchup. But Patriots, a nice upset win there. Going against the Bills now, Patriots, that's a division team. The Patriots are going to be looking to do everything they can to keep the Bills out of the playoffs, as the Bills are pretty much in a must-win situation. It's looking better for them so far. The odds are now more in their favor to make the playoffs versus miss, I believe. But the Bills control their own destiny still. And, the easiest path for them would be getting 2 victories here coming up. It's going to be difficult facing 2 division opponents in the Patriots, and they have the Dolphins week 18. Moving to the Rams at Giants. The Giants are struggling. The DeVito, little run has kind of come to an end here. Obviously, it got benched in their last game. And then the Rams are a very hot team, currently hold the 6th seed in the playoffs under Matthew Stafford, who is more than capable of, getting a team and carrying them through the playoffs in crunch time. Obviously, 2 years ago, we saw the Rams win that Super Bowl, led by Matthew Stafford in his first season in LA. Moving into the 49ers at Commanders. 49ers look to get back on track against these struggling Commanders in Washington. Looks like Jacoby Brissett has been named the starter for the Commanders in this matchup. Cardinals at Eagles. Cardinals don't have a ton to play for at this point, except for pride, really. And the Philadelphia Eagles still trying to get that 1 seed. Obviously, they need a little bit of help at this point. But the Eagles are also trying to get back on track, and kind of dial in a few of these errors or weaknesses that we've seen be exploited over the month of December. Moving to the Saints at Bucks. This one, kind of going to see if the Bucks truly are as, locked in as they've been playing the past few weeks. If they get this win over the Saints, I think they'll be in pretty good position to, win the division, potentially clinch the division with a win. I haven't really looked into the NFC South, division odds at this moment, for somewhat obvious reasons. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are hot and looking to clinch up a playoff spot, potentially make a run. Baker Mayfield's benched the playoffs before, not a ton of success there in terms of wins, but been there before, has the experience. Mike Evans potentially looking to, prove something in the playoffs, and what's most likely his last season in Tampa Bay. If the Bucs make the playoffs, they could be a sleeper pick to, win a divisional round or wild card round game. Panthers at Jaguars. Jaguars looking to get back on track. The injury status on Trevor Lawrence's shoulder. I have not seen an update at the time of this recording. He hasn't missed a start in his NFL career, I don't believe. So hopefully that trend continues for him and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Falcons head to Chicago to play the Bears. Falcons need a win to keep their very slim playoff hopes alive, I believe. I don't think they've been eliminated yet. But against a Bears team who's been playing pretty solid the past month or so, I think the Atlanta Falcons may struggle to do so of that. They've kind of had a good game, then a bad game, kind of a question marks game. I would say their last game looked pretty solid. Unfortunately, that may mean a question marks game coming up for the Atlanta Falcons. Raiders head to Indianapolis to play the Colts. And the Raiders coming off a very nice upset win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Colts, on the other hand, coming off the opposite losing to the Atlanta Falcons by 19. The Colts do still hold the 7th seed in the AFC at the moment. So they are obviously looking for a win to keep their playoff chances alive. Very tough divisional race there between the Jaguars, currently leading the division and holding the 4th seed. But then the Colts with the 7th spot. And I believe the Texans are 8th seeded currently at the moment. So the Colts definitely looking to win to keep their playoff chances, in their favor, in the driver, keeping themselves in the driver's seat. Moving to the Steelers at Seahawks. Should be a good matchup. Seahawks have been, winning the games they're supposed to. And then the Steelers coming off the blowout win over the divisional Bengals. Should be a good one to see in terms of that Steelers offense, kind of what it looks like. I'm not sure who's the quarterback situation is going on over there. If Mason Rudolph's going to, get the start again, or who it will be. Not sure. It makes a huge difference. Pickett versus Trubisky versus Rudolph for that Steelers team. All of them are mid to below mid, but they find a way to win with that system, that offensive system that is, kind of lackluster. Has flashes, but overall lackluster. But the very solid defense and coaching of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Chargers head to Denver to play the Broncos. The Broncos announced that they'll be sitting Russell Wilson for the rest of the year because of contract clause, kind of things. Something to do with if he gets injured this year, his 2025 money, his contract salary on his 2025, year on that line is going to be guaranteed. I think the Broncos are sitting him to avoid a potential injury to Russell Wilson the next 2 weeks. Kind of a similar situation to what happened to Derek Carr last year with the Raiders, by allowing him to sit or sitting him, it's kind of making things easier for the Denver Broncos, giving them more options heading into the offseason, in terms of trading, releasing, keeping Russell Wilson, whether before the 2024 season, during or after the 2024 season. Definitely an interesting move by the Broncos and a very bold move, also considering the amount of trade capital they traded for Russell Wilson, when they acquired him 2 seasons ago. Then the Bengals at Chiefs. This one, Kansas City Chiefs looking to, recoup. They've been struggling the past few weeks. A lot of frustration is boiling up in Kansas City between Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. A lot of frustration for the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been struggling this year by their standards, by everyone's expectations and ideology of the Kansas City Chiefs right now in their head because of that insane run they've been on the past 5 years. Struggling, obviously just upset by the Raiders. The Chiefs still hold the 3 seed. Patrick Mahomes, still top of the league in most quarterback stats categories, with a wide receiver group that is highest drop percentage in the league without, a dominant number 1 wide receiver. Rashee Rice having a very, very solid year, but I would not consider him a dominant number 1 yet. So all things considered, the Chiefs are still that 3 seed, still have Patrick Mahomes, still have Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. Don't be surprised if they turn things around and lock it in for those playoffs. And then wrapping up Week 17's preview, Sunday Night Football, Packers at Minnesota Vikings. Should be a good one. Both of these teams still have a shot to make the playoffs. Obviously, it's always a tough battle between 2 divisional teams. Both of them obviously looking to get into the playoffs as well as limit the other team's chances of making the playoffs. Unfortunate news for the Minnesota Vikings, though. That is going to create a larger struggle for them and their chances. Tight end TJ Hawkinson has been announced out for the season as he tore his ACL and part of his MCL, I believe, in that game against the Detroit Lions. That is the Week 17 preview, which leaves me with just one thing remaining in this episode, and that is my Week 17 picks. My last week's record, Week 16 record, of 9-7, moving me up to a season record of 153-87. Good enough for a 638 win percentage on the season. Not bad if I say so myself. Here is my Week 17 picks. Browns over Jets, Lions over Cowboys, Ravens over Dolphins, Texans over Titans, Bills over Patriots, Rams over Giants, 49ers over Commanders, Eagles over Cardinals, Bucks over Saints, Jaguars over Panthers, Bears over Falcons, Raiders over Colts, Seahawks over Steelers, Broncos over Chargers, Chiefs over Bengals, and Packers over Vikings. That's all I have for today's episode of the Wedge 52 Gridiron Podcast. Thank you all for listening. If you made it this far, please make sure you press that follow button, rate the podcast, and share the podcast with your fellow NFL friends, NFL junkies like yourself. Thank you all for listening once again. And remember, go Ravens.